Hello and welcome to another session of Karen's Colours. I'm Dr. Karen and these are my colour conversations. In this session, I thought I'd solve a problem that I have, at least to present to you something that has been a bit of a dilemma for me, and that is how to shuffle cards that were never meant to be shuffled. I'll explain shortly, but first, let me welcome back those of you who've been watching my videos. I'm really grateful to see that some of you are interested in what I have to present. And if you've stumbled here by accident, I hope you can find something in my presentation today that will be of interest to you. Let's get started. It's been a long-term problem for me to be able to shuffle cards the way that I'd like to. Dating back to when I was a youngster and playing with just ordinary playing cards, games such as 500 and euchre, I could never do the shuffling. And I certainly couldn't do the fancy shuffling that can be seen by many people who shuffle cards. So over the last few weeks, I've been doing some research. I've been looking at a whole range of YouTubers and how they shuffle their cards. And in particular, I focused upon those people who were shuffling cards for tarot reading. And the reason for this is that the cards for tarot reading are often quite different in size. So they're not a standard size as a rule. And so each person has to deal with the shuffling issues in their own inimicable way.
Here is a selection of the various YouTube channels that I have managed to get shuffling information from, and you may even recognize some of them.
The least frequent of the various different card shuffling techniques is that of not shuffling at all. You'll find there are a few card readers out there who will talk about the cards, but you don't actually ever get to see them.
In the second lot of videos, we see the basic shuffle.
There are others who will shuffle off camera, and you might even hear the cards being moved around as the shuffle proceeds. But then the cards are laid out, and it is up to you, the viewer, to trust that the cards have been shuffled in a way that allows them to be randomized. Then we have the basic shuffle. Now, most card readers use this, and that is simply holding the cards on their side and moving them in groups or individually through the pack. Now, some card shufflers actually do this throughout a commentary as they are shuffling. Others do it silently, and others still will only go through the pack maybe once or twice before they begin to lay out the cards. Most tarot readers, however, do shuffle for at least 3 times in this particular method. A little more advanced than this is the riffle shuffle. Now, this is where the cards are held either by their centers or by their sides or even from one corner. And in 2 sections, that is, you've divided the pack into 2, they begin to allow the cards to fall inside one another as they are moved through the pack, and then they are pushed together. And this can happen once, twice, or several times. There is a variation on this as well, in that some people will do this in the air. That is, they don't push their cards onto a table in order to do the riffling. Others will do it in such a way that it enables them to then lift the cards up and pull them into the opposite direction so that it looks like a really fancy way of shuffling cards.
The larger the deck of cards, the more difficult it appears to be for most readers to be able to shuffle those cards successfully. In the case of most such readers, there is a perfunctory use of the basic shuffle method, and that is as far as it goes for moving those cards around before making a reading.
I myself have a pack of rather large cards that I have been using for many years when I've done tarot readings, and I tend to use the shuffle, the basic shuffle, as an end over end because my hands are not large enough to grab them across the normal way that one would hold that pack of cards. I've found that that works, but it doesn't work for the cards that I use for color analysis. Once the cards have been shuffled, of course, then there are various ways of laying them down. Most people will then cut the cards, and some actually deal only from the top of the deck. Others will deal some cards from the top and then make sure that the listener or the viewer is able to see those cards from the bottom as well. And they call this the base of the pack. Others, again, will spread the cards across the table and then allow a random choice to be taken out manually from that spread. But those are in the minority. As I was going through these tabulations of the various different styles, I came across one YouTuber who actually almost solved my problem for me. Her name is Denise Wright, and she has an excellent video in which she explains exactly how she pre-shuffles her cards before she actually goes on air and presents her readings. I too pre-shuffle my cards, but I can't use her method no matter how much I've tried. So how is mine different? Because my cards are homemade, you can't find these cards anywhere for sale. And because when I made them, I chose a card stock that was embossed. That was a mistake on my part. This means that the cards do not easily slide across one another, making it very difficult to shuffle them in any way whatsoever, and certainly riffling is absolutely out of the question. Each card has a symbol on it, and each has a different reading depending on which color is uppermost and which color is at the lower end of each symbol. It is important that these are mixed up because I only have one combination of each color pair throughout. It means that I need to invert cards randomly as I shuffle them. So, my first step is to take the pile of cards and lay out 7 of them. And the second row, I lay out 6. And then on top of those, 5. And then 4. And then 3 and 2 and 1. So that the first pile has 7 cards and the last pile only 1. Then I reverse that, doing exactly the same thing again from the end, passing the cards from 7 through to 1, then from 7 to 2, from 7 to 3, and so forth, until I have 8 cards in each pile. The leftover cards then I randomly assign. Sometimes I follow a particular formula, other times I don't. But I randomly assign those cards to the 7 different piles I've created, and when they are completed, I then randomly choose 2 piles. One of them I pick up as is, the other one I invert. I loosely shuffle those together and put them aside, and I do this 3 times so that I have 3 double piles and 1 left over. The 1 left over I then divide among the 3 piles that I have already pre-shuffled, and then once again taking 2 of those, I shuffle those together and then divide the remaining pile into 2, half of which is placed on the front and the other half at the back. Now, every time I divide a pile up, I invert one of them, so that by the time I'm finished, not only do I have a randomized pile of cards, but I also have a pile of cards where the colors are definitely mixed. Because there is no right or wrong way with the colour cards, I've ensured that they will be mixed as much as I possibly can do. And every time I do a reading, I go through this process. And believe me, because it takes so long, I don't show it. And it's a rather cumbersome way of randomizing those cards, but I feel that it also does that job fairly thoroughly. If you're a beginner, you might like to try it because it does work, and it saves having to feel embarrassed about throwing your not so good skills at shuffling in front of the world to see. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. It was only meant as a teaser to the main. It was only meant as a short introduction for those who, like me, simply can't shuffle cards. I hope to see you next time, and may your life be filled with lots and lots of wonderful colour. Bye.